Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Steve Cavendish. He's going to be the editor of the new Nashville Banner, which is bringing it back. It's going to be an online news outlet at this point. Steve, why do you want to get into this kind of business at a time when it looks like, at least in terms of the print side and the what was now been called the dead tree publications, aren't they going to be gone in about 5 to 10 years? What are we going to read over our cornflakes in the morning? Are we going to have to go to a computer screen to do that?
I think there's always going to be. I think there's always going to be print. It is a matter of, is your company going to be dedicated enough to doing it right? You know, Gannett has been pushing production earlier and earlier. Tennessean's going to start is they're going to start printing in Knoxville in March. They've already moved up their start time, so anything that happens after 6 o'clock doesn't appear in the next day's paper. I mean,
so if it snows on Monte Eagle Mountain or over in Crossville, it may be tough to get the paper over here sometimes.
It could be a challenge, but you know, the bigger problem is, and it's not just the fact that you're not going to get a Pred score, you're not going to get a late Titans score or Vandy basketball or something that happens at night. It's that, you know, polls close at 7 o'clock in August, and it's gonna be 2 days before those election results get into print subscribers, and that's as a reader, that's the thing that's bewildering to me, is that if you're consistently devaluing the print product, you're kind of begging people not to read it. And quite frankly, Tennessean and Gannett need that money. I don't know why they're doing it. I'd be interested in somebody trying to explain it to me.
You mentioned the August election, and the one that's coming up next is the mayoral race that'll be there. Mayor David Bradley, who's the incumbent, has disclosed he's raised $360,000 over the last 6 months. Is that a pretty good nest egg? What impact will that have on the race? He's already got one major potential opponent. That's John Ray Clemens.
That's a good nest egg. That's a strong showing, and it shows that he's raising kind of money kind of across the spectrum. It's interesting, you know, 4 years ago it seemed like a little bit of a money arms race. You had a lot of really well-funded candidates.
You had 6, yeah,
and
all well-funded.
I think Megan Barry had been in for a year and a half raising money. Charles Robert Bone raised a lot of money. Certainly Bill Freeman raised a lot of money. It's probably not going to be that much this time around. It's still going to be a lot, and I think David Bradley's off to a good start. Well,
it's always different when you have an incumbent. You don't have nearly as many people wanting to take him on. Do you think there are going to be others to get in the race? John Cooper, Bill Freeman, you mentioned him. Will he run again? Or who else might want to get in the race? Well,
Cooper and Freeman are still supposedly looking at it. I did a piece for the Scene here about 3 weeks ago, looking at kind of who was still examining it. It looks like there's only 4 people looking at it seriously. You know, Bradley obviously is in, Clemens is in, Freeman was still thinking about it, and Cooper was still thinking about it. Some people like Bill Carpenter, who's the ex-health executive, just decided not to, and a couple other people I think were looking at it last year and decided not to.
Is it not attractive right now, not only because there's an incumbent already in the job, but because Nashville seems to be in a situation where, despite being the it city with lots of growth, it's struggling to keep its budget balanced?
Well, it's tough. It's not an easy job. Mayor's not an easy job when it's going really well, but then when you have something like, you know, we ended up doing the reappraisals on property around town, and they didn't do the kind of the reassessment that went along with it, so you had a budget shortfall. And that's tough to, you know, it's tough to kind of make all those numbers work, even in a flush economy. If we're not in a flush economy, and who knows, you know, where we'll be 3 years from now, it could be, you know, it won't be an easy job.
There's been an entire show on the national scene, so I'll stay state. A lot of change up at the state, a new governor, lots of new people in the legislature. Is Bill Lee going to be successful despite his lack of experience in both politics and in government? Has he surrounded himself with the right kind of team in his cabinet and his staff to be able to get things done with a Republican legislature?
Well, I mean, he's going to be successful because he's a Republican governor in a Republican state where Republicans have supermajorities in both houses. So how we measure success is kind of on the margins here. He's going to get most of his agenda across. you know, I think you could say the same thing that about Governor Haslam. He got most of his agenda across. The things that we were talking about that he didn't get or that they thought about were really sort of on the margins. I've been impressed with. I didn't know the problem with Bill Lee. I think was that we really didn't know sort of from a policy agenda what he was going to do. Once he got to be governor, there was kind of a famous quote from the day after the day after he won, where he said, "Now I guess I got to figure out a policy agenda," which is a little disconcerting. But you know, he's surrounded himself with a really good team. I think they're pretty focused. I was impressed with Stuart McWhorter and with Butch Ely. You know, he's got some experienced hands in there. And that's always what you want to see when somebody who's approaching this, who comes in from a non-political or non-governmental background, people who understand how things work and can help execute an agenda. And I think he'll be successul.
So what's the time frame for when you hope to have the money raised and be online and start the banners operating again? I mean, I'd like us to be launched in late spring, early summer, and be up and running. So. But that depends on how well the money goes. It depends on some fundraising. So contact you if people are interested. It might be operators are standing by. You giving away any mugs or anything? We'll give away a few T-shirts, maybe a DVD or two. Steve, thanks for coming on the show. Good luck with your endeavor, and we'll have you back to talk future. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.